This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, sports trivia for those of us who rode the pine. You are listening to episode number 262. I'm your host, David, recovering from my fourth go-round of COVID, and today's game will be, let's see who we got. The team of Josh and Scott versus the team of Eric Eade and assistant coach to our Patreon team, Josh Snyder. Hey, Josh, welcome back to the bench. I know you've been here before. Oh, and before I forget, one day belated happy birthday. So,
it wasn't my birthday yet.
No, sorry, this is for our guest.
Oh,
I know
our
yours is still coming.
Sorry, didn't mean
His
to interrupt.
birthday was yesterday as we're recording this. So, Josh, our guest, Josh Snyder, would you want to take a minute to remind us who you are, what teams you like, something we don't know about you, maybe?
Hey, what's up, fellas? This is Josh Snyder. I'm coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland, originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But I'm an Orioles fan, adopted Sixers fan originally, and Seahawks just because. Yeah, excited to be back on the bench. It's my birthday week for the second time I'm doing a recording, and hoping to get on the W train today. Is that a thing?
It can be. Why not?
If it's a thing, I don't think it means what you think it means.
All right, Mr. Eade, tell us how you're doing and tell us if you got a team name.
I'm well. Josh Snyder, not you, Bombeck. All right, we're not.
I figured nobody's talking to me at this point anymore.
No, or even after. That's fine. It's all right. Josh, I did not know that you were from Philadelphia. I am also from that's where I was born, so that's cool. And Baltimore is actually my second favorite sandwich place, second to Philadelphia. So good for you.
Just all sandwiches or any specific Baltimore sandwich?
Chaps Pit Beef. It's my favorite thing in the world, second to the roast pork at Nick's in Philly. Okay. So anyway,
good man.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing well. I went to a Bison's game today, and my son made it through 8 innings. That's an accomplishment. It was iPad assisted, so yeah. But we made it through 8 innings. But with that said, I'm very upset about the NBA draft that just happened, just because somebody was drafted that should not have been drafted. Anyway, so that leads to Josh's night, and our team name is my dad didn't get me drafted.
I love it. All right. My dad didn't get me drafted. And Scott, Mr. Bombeck, who wants to talk first?
I don't think it matters. Neither one of us has. Spoiler alert, we don't have a team name. So I'll just go first. I have a question for Eade. Patrick Kane, is he still a big deal?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. I just saw the sign with Detroit, and I was like, I feel like that would have been bigger news like a couple years ago. But
he's old now, so he's back with Detroit.
Yeah.
How did it work out last year? Yeah, no one knows.
All right, well, that's sad. He's like the Chris Paul of the NHL now.
He's like the Mike Modano of basically the same thing. Ends his career in Detroit.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's sad. But that's it. That's it for me. I've just been refreshing Twitter just to get updates on NBA free agency, not the Olympic trials, obviously, but NBA free agency. So that's all I'm doing. What's up, Josh?
All right, Mr. Bombeck.
Yeah, well, a week ago, got back from a little over 2-week trip that brought us through Colorado and Utah to Vegas for a week, and then came back through Arizona and New Mexico and all the states that brought us back, and got to see some of the things that you're supposed to see that I'd never seen, like Arches National Park, the Grand Canyon, the Sphere. I mean, maybe not quite the same opulence as the natural wonders. Okay, but most importantly, the most exciting thing that happened on the trip was our stop in Kansas City, where I got to have some Kansas City barbecue next to my first meetup of a non-Minnesotan bench warmer, and that was with Mr. Eric Walling, where we got to complain about sports, because there's a lot to complain about when you're a Minnesota fan and a fan of people like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, a team name. Well, we sat here for a long time, realized we didn't have anything. So our team name appropriately is We Got Nothing.
I love the creativity. Okay, so we got My Dad Didn't Get Me Drafted versus We Got Nothing. That just leaves us kicking it over to Dan for the rules.
The game will consist of 4 quarters of play, each with different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
Thanks, Dan. Today's first quarter is going to be sporting haikus.
Sporting haikus. For this quarter, there will be 4 questions in haiku form. Each question is worth 25 points.
Question number 1. Franco Harris scores. Steelers' first playoffs TD plays famous nickname.
We can check in.
All right. My dad didn't get me drafted as checked in, so we got nothing. You guys can talk it out.
We've made the games a lot easier to the point where sometimes I feel like they're too easy, and it's a trick, especially when David hosts. I just have PTSD from like 2 years ago, David locks. I'm like, there's no way this could be that simple, but I think it's just the immaculate reception.
I agree.
So, all right, we're going to check that in.
Okay. And my dad didn't get me drafted.
Yep, immaculate reception.
Yep, both teams receiving points. I was reading something about this recently, and I was like, okay, I got to work this in as a warm-up question since we don't have the tailgate anymore. But you're right, Scott. I've toned down my games. I also didn't realize the Steelers had only been in the playoffs, I think, very few times before this. And the first time they were in the playoffs and actually scored, it was the immaculate reception, which I guess at the time made it an amazing deal. But I knew it was during the Steel Curtain days. I didn't realize it was the very first time they scored. So both teams getting points. Question number 2. Sole NFL team, no conference championship games, last lost to Ravens.
Yeah, David, we can check in.
All right. Very quick check-in for my dad didn't get me drafted. We got nothing. Time to talk it out.
So the way it's written, Josh, it's the only NFL team that's never been to a conference championship. That's how I'm.
Yeah, but what is the
interpreting
last
that,
loss
right?
to Ravens? So it's not the last time they went to the championship game because they've never been.
Is it last season lost to Ravens? Is this like the Texans? Maybe.
Is that who they played in the playoffs?
I think so. With like Stroud, I think it was in the second round.
I mean, it would make sense that
They haven't made a conference. They haven't made an AFC championship.
if they haven't made an AFC championship, then they're the one because and it makes sense that they would be the one or one of those, newer teams, but they're the newest.
Yeah, right. Because they had that game against the Chiefs a few years ago where they like blew a big lead, but I don't think that was.
I'm good with it.
It wasn't the AFC championship game.
I'm good with it.
All right, we're gonna check in with the Texans.
All right. My dad didn't get me drafted.
Okay. Yeah, I think also the Texans. They did come in here to Baltimore, and Stroud sort of things didn't go his way. I think it was a close game in the first half, and then I think the second half it just got blown out. So should be the Texans.
Yep, and both teams are receiving points. And yeah, Josh Bomback, the last loss to Ravens was exactly that. Was that they won a playoff game this year, but with a chance to go to the championship game, they lost to the Ravens. So that's exactly what happened. And I was playing with syllables. That's why it wasn't perfectly parsable. All right, well done, everybody. Question number 3.
We can't all write them as well as I do. I know. We all can't be the masters of syllables. Question number 3. I mean, I'm somewhere on the scale below Bomback, but above Eid. I think that's a fair scale too.
I use a website.
There's a lot of room between.
I'm happy where I am. Go ahead, Eid. What were you going to say?
I use a website, so I can't be blamed for any of it.
Oh, God.
If the website's flawed,
a carpenter doesn't blame his tools.
One has to be really careful though. Words like conference can be pronounced as 3 syllables or 2, so you have to be exactly. All right,
just saying limericks. That's all.
That's right. Stay with limericks. Question number 3. At UCLA, only coach to win title besides John Wooden.
My PTS David is messing with my head.
We'll check in.
I think Eid, you might have had him by about 100.
I had him. I purposely was started before he said it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that means that you checked in first.
But isn't it when you started? It's when you finish saying the word. I mean, is this one of the things like where Rocky and Creed knock each other out and whoever gets up first?
No, like a racehorse, it's when their nose crosses the line, not when their tail finally finishes.
That is true. Josh does have a good point there. So both Joshes. All right, here we go. So my dad didn't get me drafted. You guys get to talk it out.
Space on a name. You said Lavin.
Yeah, I
It
thought
didn't-
Lavin was a little bit later. Steve Lavin. I remember he was the coach at UCLA at some point, but in the early 2000s.
It didn't trigger anything when you said it. I feel like if I would have known, it would have popped in right away. But so
Right.
seemed to the name Herrick popped up in my head, and I think that's it.
Okay.
So we'll check in with Herrick.
All right. And we got nothing. What did you guys have?
Took me a little while, but I was in college when he won. So I just had to really, bring back that knowledge and information. And it took me a while to get there. But yeah, Jim Herrick. Check that in.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, Lavin, I think, was just after Herrick at UCLA. And Herrick turned out to be kind of a scum. He was at Rhode Island and he had Lamar Odom for a year, and there was something fishy going on there. And then he went to UCLA and he won the title. But then you may all remember that he went to Georgia, and his son was on his staff, and his son was teaching a class that a bunch of the players were enrolled in called basketball strategy, that a few of them got an A in, even though they never showed up at class, literally, like they never made it to class. So the son got run out of town, and then later they told the dad they weren't going to renew his contract. So anyway, yes, it is Jim Herrick Sr. Well done. And
Wow.
that was the famous Ty Edney and Ed O'Bannon team, if you remember back then. Yeah.
Big surprise that college basketball players didn't always go to class.
Yeah, I know.
I'm shocked.
It is shocking.
Newsflash.
All right, here we go. Question number 4. Zona small forward, 8 years in the NBA. Next, beach volleyball.
Yeah, we're checked in.
All right, we got nothing. His checked in. So my dad didn't get me drafted. Let's see what you got.
Okay. White dude. He's probably in his like mid to late 30s.
How Josh goes, white dude. It said beach volleyball, so I think he'd had that.
I mean, maybe. Oh, dude.
I thought it was a woman this whole time. All right. Shoot. And do you know any teams he played for in the NBA?
I think Golden State, maybe. I could be wrong about that one.
Arizona.
Houston, actually, maybe.
White dude from Houston.
Didn't get a huge amount of playing time. I feel like probably
Who's that ugly looking dude?
Oh,
not European. He's an American guy. Like,
Yeah, no, this dude was quite ugly. Oh crap. Like you could put me next to a lot of guys, and most they're like, no, this guy's better looking than me. It's almost everybody, but I'm pretty sure if you put him next to me, they were like, no, you know what, you're not so bad. Oh shoot, he just really fell down the stairs with his face. Just Chase Budinger, that's his name.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
ugliest
Budinger, right? It's like,
yes. All right.
I didn't think he was that. Maybe because
No,
my taste.
He's homely. He's homely. He's yeah. No,
that's better out here from the sand. They just kind of spray
Right, yeah,
someone.
that's-
Nobody's looking. Yeah.
well, most people got sand in their eyes. I'm like,
Right.
He's fine. He's fine. He's got small rocks in my eyes. I can't see. Yeah,
Is
no,
that
we're
a
checking that in,
check-in?
David.
All
I don't know.
right, just
I don't know
checking.
if you. Yeah, ugly
sure.
Chase
All right.
Budinger.
Yes, got it. All right, and we got nothing. Do you guys have something?
That's incredible. Yeah, I've seen him play beach volleyball out here in Huntington Beach. And I gotta tell you, way better than anything I've ever seen him do on the basketball court. Yeah, we also checked in with Chase Budinger.
Timberwolves legend.
That's
Chase
true.
Budinger.
That's right.
Hey, so before you answer, and maybe this will be in your flavor text, I don't know, but did he make the Olympic team? Did he?
That
was he?
is the story. So yes, Chase Budinger and his teammate Miles Evans, I think is his name, they're going to be, I think they were the second team that made it. I think we get to send 2 teams, and they're about to be in the Olympics, which as this episode drops, it's now a few days until the Olympics starts. So I don't remember exactly what the beach volleyball schedule is, but you can tune in and see Chase probably on Peacock or whatever. So well done to both teams.
Quick question. Or actually two-parter. One, I got to look at his face again. That's not fun.
Yeah.
And 2, how much sunscreen does this human being need if he's on the beach all the time? Because he is. I'm pale. I'm the whitest white dude ever.
That dude
to
is
be
very
white.
pale.
He has a swimming pool of just
Yes.
sunscreen. He jumps in first, swims around, gets out, and then plays volleyball.
Just the oiliest, ugliest. Just all the. Never mind. So many questions. Is
Well,
it
let's see.
Budinger? I've always
No,
called him
he's-
Budinger.
I think it's Budinger, I think. And I'm pretty
Nobody's ever called him
No
that
one's
except for
ever
you.
called him that.
You know
Everybody's
what?
called
I
him
went to
Chase
I went
Budinger.
hey, I had to get ready. I went to a website and I said, "How do you pronounce Chase Budinger?" And it came back as Budinger.
Stop saying it, David. Stop
Just cut it out. All right.
making this a thing.
We have exactly. Well, we've already said he's the ugliest man alive, and we've said he's the whitest man alive. So anyway, all right, and now we can't pronounce his name. That's a triple whammy. All right, we have come to the end of the first quarter, and we have two perfect games going early. So my dad didn't get me drafted, and we got nothing. Are tied at 100.
We wanted to let you know that we are on Patreon if you'd be interested in supporting us financially. Your contributions will be used to help us cover the costs that it takes to bring you the high-quality sports trivia you have come to expect from us. There's also some great perks that come with the Patreon membership to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, including bonus episodes and Benchwarmers swag. You can find us at patreon.com/benchwarmerstp. Thanks.
That'll bring us to today's second quarter, which today will be David versus Goliath.
David versus Goliath. This quarter will consist of 3 pairs of questions, one easier, David, and one harder, Goliath. After hearing both questions, the teams will pick one of the 2 questions to answer, either David or Goliath. Each David question is worth 25 points, and each Goliath question is worth 50 points.
Question number 1 for David, hoping that this year's number 1 draft pick will change it. Who is the only team that has never had a 4,000-yard passer? For Goliath, who was the last NFL franchise to join the list of teams with 4,000-yard passers in 2019? Though the team didn't have a single passer with 4,000 yards until 2019, they did have quarterbacks that combined for 4,500 yards in both 2014 and 2018.
All right, we'll check in.
All right. My dad didn't get me drafted, has checked in. We got nothing. You have about 10 seconds to give me an answer.
Hey, Josh, how confident are you in what you think about the Eagles?
I just don't know if McNabb got there, but I mean that Wentz would have been one of the ones like in 2019 who
he did it on his own in 2019 and then him and Foles in 18.
Right. Now I don't know about 14.
Who the hell was there in 14? That's after they bombed out with like Vince Young.
So
At some point they had Mark Sanchez.
I don't know if I feel super confident. Otherwise, we could simply go David with the Bears.
Like we have to, right?
Like
I mean, if you want to take a shot since we're against Ed, I'm fine with it.
It doesn't matter to me. You pick.
We tend to beat him when we beat him in the fourth quarter. I think we get as many points as we can.
All right.
So we're going to check in with the David answer of the Bears.
All right. And my dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you guys have?
So a lot of stuff came up here. The Bills came up. The Browns came up. The Browns had me. Josh threw the Browns at me, and it had me second guess my original gut answer. He said but we couldn't think of who it would have been other than Mayfield even before. I want to say maybe Hoyer or McCown, and who's that other guy? I can't even think of the other one. I don't know. Anyway, so I moved on and
Eric Anderson.
Oh geez, that makes me hate my answer even more now. Anyway, so we narrowed on Tampa Bay. So I'm pretty sure 18 Fitz and Winston had 2 decent seasons together and added up, and then 19 I thought it was Brady, but then the more I thought about it, Brady wasn't there. 19 was when Winston hit 5K, so we went with Tampa Bay.
Interesting. So one team will be receiving points, and that is the team that said the Bears with David. Let me see if I can break this down a little bit. So first of all, I looked up some of these. I'm pretty sure the Browns' first 4,000-yard passer goes all the way back to Brian Sipe, who was a guy that who I had on cards.
Wow.
He was a contemporary of the GOAT, Ken Anderson, by the way, competing for best quarterback in Ohio at the time. I believe the first Buck that had a 4,000-yard passing season, and you'll have to check me on this, was Freeman, and that would have been in 2012
when he still was okay.
Right. So right. So actually, the closest we got to a Goliath answer was the one that Josh and Scott very nearly pulled the trigger on. The correct answer, dedicated to our guest today, was the Eagles. I know you're not really an Eagles fan, but since you're a Philadelphia guy, so the Eagles, the first guy to do it was Wentz. In 2018, it was roughly Foles plus Wentz and a couple other scraps. And in 2014, it was Foles plus Sanchez. You were all over it, Scott. You really had it. So that would be 25 points for we got nothing, and still time to make up the difference for my dad didn't get me drafted.
I just couldn't convince myself that McNabb didn't get there one
He
of the
didn't. Yeah,
stretches.
Yeah.
He had to have
he
been
did not.
close.
He must have been close, but I don't know how close. I don't think he was. I was looking at everybody over 3,900. I don't think he ever got
Yeah,
there.
I thought
but-
Jaworski or Cunningham.
Yeah, it could be.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, 4,000 is a lot of yards for,
Yeah, it is.
for those eras.
I guess
Which
Cunningham,
makes it
too.
which makes it
How-
interesting that Brian Sipe had 4,000 yards because it's just. But I mean, they had some good teams back in the day. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right.
Did Cunningham ever play like a full season?
That's
Like, I
another thing.
can't.
He was hurt
All
all the
the
time.
co-MVP in like
98
90,
in Minnesota, but that wouldn't have been in
I think
Philly.
91, right? Where he got, I don't think he got the AP MVP, but he got like the one of the UPI or something like that.
But the other thing is, he also ran in an era where quarterbacks didn't run.
and he punted 97 yards and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
In my head too, I'm just based on I'm playing Tecmo Bowl with him, and every time he ran with him, he was hurt. Every time he ran.
I don't know who you're talking about. That was QB Eagles.
Oh, sorry.
Perfect. All right. Question number 2, also with our guest in mind. The 2001 76ers had a playoff run that ended in the finals. As a team, they also took home 5 of the league's 8 awards that year. For David, I simply want you to tell me what Sixer won the MVP that year. And for Goliath, I want you to tell me what Sixer won the 6th Man of the Year that year.
David, we're gonna check in.
My dad didn't get me drafted. Has checked in. So we got nothing. You got about 2 minutes.
Who else was on that roster?
I mean,
Um,
so if we're looking at like obviously trying to eliminate the typical starters, Eric Snow was the point guard,
Eric Smith's the
Iverson
point
was the
guard.
shooting guard.
Yep. Theo Ratliff started the season as a center. He got traded from Mutombo like at the deadline. So
And
Mutombo
then-
was the center, and they had a bunch of like role players. I think of all the names I sent you, it's between Kukoc and McKee. McKee, I would lean towards him because there was no path for him to start
Yeah.
being a backcourt player. We know Snow and Iverson was the backcourt, whereas Kukoc could have had some starts at the 3 or the 4.
Right. And probably got mixed with Tim Thomas and Clarence Weatherspoon, that kind of like those 3 probably.
Yeah. So I'd lean McKee.
Um,
I think we should go for it. I know he had a really good season that year.
like we said, Snow was, and I simply know that because I
I mean, that's a
watched
Michigan
him.
State guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And you know what? He was a really good point guard. Just so happened that he was about the same height as Allen Iverson, but you know, I guess you can have 2 short guards when one of them can shoot like Allen Iverson. So
That's true. Yeah.
I say go with it
I'm
then.
good with McKee. Like, it doesn't pop in your brain when you think of 6 Men of the Year. Like, I'm going through those in my head, and I don't really see McKee on there, but knowing that it's a Sixer and just kind of remembering that team,
Yep.
I feel confident that it's Aaron McKee.
I'm good with it.
All right. We're going to check in with Goliath answer of Aaron McKee.
All right. And my dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you guys have?
I've seen this list more than any human being has ever seen a list, probably more. 'Cause I'm always looking for just, I don't know, more NBA stuff, right? Because I lean heavily towards NFL and NHL. And I always seem to go to the 6-man list. So I told Josh, I've seen this list probably once a week since starting this podcast. And yeah, the 76ers 01 6-man was definitely Aaron McKee.
All right. Both teams are receiving Goliath points. Yeah, well done. So Defensive Player of the Year that year was Dikembe. Coach of the Year was Larry Brown. The Citizen Award was also Dikembe. The All-Star Game MVP was Iverson. Oh, and I didn't mention, but of course the David answer, the MVP that year was Allen Iverson, the answer. So well done. Goliath points all the way around. All right, let's move on to question 3. For David, what former longtime member of the Seattle Storm holds the WNBA career assist record? For Goliath, what current WNBA player and former player at Maryland set the single season assist record last year?
We'll check in.
All right. We got nothing. Has checked in. My dad didn't get me drafted. We'll give you about a minute to hash this out.
Like I said, Vandersloot's the name that keeps popping in my head, but like she didn't go to Maryland. So that's not helping anybody with anything.
You want to start by
Um,
going, what teams did really well that somebody would have assisted, a lot last year on, like
Right.
the Aces, who's like their Kelsey Plum's their main distributor, right?
Right.
But
Let's
she
say
didn't
it's
go to
Con-
Maryland either. She went to Washington, right? So,
Yeah, I want to say it's Connecticut.
oh, the Sun, who's on
The
the Sun?
Sun.
Anybody who I know who's on the, like, I just, yeah, because that team's also pretty dominant this season, right?
Yeah, yeah. I want to say this. It's got to be somebody that's been around for a minute, though. It's when you get those names that pop in the back of your head, but you don't. It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's gonna say you gotta give me an answer in a second. So,
right,
so if we were gonna go David here, is Sue Bird, right? I think.
that would be my guess.
Yeah.
So
All right, I'll give you about 10 seconds to see if Ede can pull one out of his hat here.
Yeah, and
give me 8 seconds, and then we'll go with Sue Bird. Like I have the name Thomas, but I don't feel confident in it. Do you know anybody on the Sun named Thomas? Because
the big hurt, the little hurt. I don't know.
no, it could be two. I was just looking at my Frank. I was just looking at my Frank Thomas card. That's probably why I'm doubting myself more than anything. Let's just go Sue Bird. Screw it.
Yeah, and also Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Yep.
That's true. All right. And my dad, oh, sorry, we got nothing. What did you guys have?
Yeah, Ede, I was in the same place. Like the only name that kept popping up was Vandersloot, and I'm like, she has a ton of assists, but she went to Gonzaga, whichever way you want to pronounce it. So I'm like, that can't be right.
Budinger.
So I couldn't think beyond that, and I couldn't come up with another name. So then we just decided to also go with the David with Sue Bird.
Yes, and the David answer is correct. Jewish Sports Quarterly's latest cover model, Sue Bird. The Goliath answer, Eric, I wish you had pulled the trigger. It's Alyssa Thomas from the Connecticut Sun.
Man.
Yep. I don't know where you got that, but that was impressive.
It's just one of those, like I said, it's just anytime, never go against your gut. And I say it all the time in trivia. If something pops in your head, you just go with it. And then I didn't go with it. Oh,
your gut is right more often than most. All right. So we've come to the end of our second quarter, and we have this following scores. We got nothing is out to a very small lead with 200 points, and my dad didn't get me drafted is just behind at 175 points. That will bring us to halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions pertaining to sports, with each question worth 25 points.
All right. This halftime is going to be pre and post game style.
Oh, no.
Half of each answer will be a traditional sports answer. The other half will be an actor for whom I will give you the name of a character they played in a sports movie.
Yes.
But your other hint is that each actor is someone that was mentioned in Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song.
Oh, my Lord.
This one is dedicated to our guest, Josh Snyder, who many people who listen to our show may have seen on our Facebook chat, posted a version of the Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song last December with a bunch of Jewish athletes.
It was brilliant.
It was absolutely brilliant. So, for example, if I said to you, the only undrafted player to win the NFL Defensive Player of the Year and Branch Rickey in 2013, you would say James Harrison Ford. Super simple. See how that goes? All right, question 1. NBA player with the most career games with 10 assists and 0 turnovers, and Eddie Felson in 1961 or 1986, or Reggie Dunlop in 1977.
We can check in.
My dad didn't get me drafted, has checked in. We got nothing. Give you a couple minutes.
All right. Who's Eddie Felson?
Oh, I think he's from The Hustler.
Is that Paul Newman?
Yes. So Chris
Paul Newman?
Chris Paul
That's
Newman.
what I was thinking. Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, check that in.
And my dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you have?
Yeah, Chris Paul Newman. I love that Reggie Dunlop character from Slapshot.
Exactly right. That's the Colored Money and the Hustler and Slapshot, all with Paul Newman. Yeah, this would have made a great lucky 7. I looked up people who had, or players who had 10 assists and 0 turnover games, and it's Chris Paul has 59 games. Number 2 on the list, Muggsy Bogues, 46.
Oh.
That was pretty impressive.
I have a feeling we had a question like that or similar to that.
That
not
was
too
definitely
long
in a
ago.
question.
It could be. May have been me.
So Chris
It was
Paul
you.
was
It
in my
was-
head
it was
pretty
you,
quick.
David.
Yeah.
And then I was just trying to suss out the actor part, and
There you go.
that worked.
All right. Question number 2. He retired last December as the all-time scorer in Chicago Bears history, and Molly McGrath in 1986.
All right, we'll check in, David, with the right answer. That sounds wrong.
All right. My dad didn't get me drafted, has checked in. We got nothing. What do you guys have?
Okay. So I immediately came up with Robbie Goldie Hawn. Robbie Gold hadn't been on the Bears in like a decade. prior to retiring, he was a Niner, but he was on the Bears for a while.
And kickers seem to always be
They always top these lists, and he was there long enough. I can't think of like another Bears like kicker that would have been there long enough to eclipse him, and it works with Goldie,
and Goldie Hawn
so,
is in the Hanukkah song. So
well, then there we go. So we're gonna check in Robbie Goldie Hawn.
All right. And my dad didn't get me drafted.
It's a bad one, David. I never give you a hard time ever since you've been part of this podcast. I can't think of one time that I've ever
except for all the times you fired me. You forget about all those?
It doesn't sound like something I would do. But yeah, we checked in with Goldie or Robbie Gould. Yeah, you know the wrong one. The Robbie
Goldie Hawn. I got it.
Whatever.
Got it. Yes. Scott with his PTS, David, Eric with his short-term memory problems. We're airing it all out tonight. All right. Yes. And the Goldie Hawn movie that was a reference here was anybody?
Wildcats.
That's correct. Just a little bit of flavor text for you that Wildcats was, I think, the first movie that Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes appeared in together. Later to be followed by Money Trains, Played to the Bones, and of course, White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, I don't think they could have been in too many before that together.
Yeah, no, they were very young for sure. All right, question number 3. Brian Piccolo, 1971. And the only Conn Smythe Trophy winner in the last 20 years who did not win the Stanley Cup in the same year.
Squeaky chicken.
Eric didn't even get a chance. Okay, didn't even get a chance with the hockey question. All right. So my dad didn't get me drafted. Has checked in. We got nothing.
Gosh, is James Conn Brian Piccolo?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
Only
Conn Smythe winner.
Connor
Jesus.
McDavid.
It would have to be.
He has not won a Stanley Cup yet.
Right. And
they got close, but so James Connor McDavid. Check it in.
And my dad didn't get me drafted. What did you guys have?
James Conner. I literally just watched Brian's song for the first time ever last week. So some kind of, serendipity. But yeah.
Wow. The original one, because they remade it, but it wasn't anywhere near as good. But yes, James Conn was Brian Piccolo, and of course, Gale Sayers was Lando Calrissian in that movie. So, all right, well done. It is James Connor McDavid.
I have no problem with your pronunciation on that one.
Thank goodness. All right. So we have come to the end of halftime, and our gap has not changed at all since the last because everybody was perfect in halftime. We got nothing with 275, and my dad didn't get me drafted with 250. Today's third quarter is going to be the missing link.
The missing link. This quarter will consist of 5 questions with theme-linked answers. The teams will attempt to answer the questions and guess the theme. Each question is worth 20 points. If a team checks in first via chat to the host with the correct theme before the 5th question, they will earn 100 points. The other team can still earn 50 points with the correct theme guess. If neither team has checked in with the correct theme before the 5th question, each team can earn 50 points with the correct answer to the theme after the 5th question.
Question number 1 of our missing link. What's the nickname of the last player who was the NBA's number 1 overall pick to be drafted out of high school?
David?
Yes.
What are we supposed to do when somebody
they have multiple nicknames?
Several nicknames.
We have the same question.
Yeah, I'll give you credit for any of them, and then I'll clarify which one I want for the missing link.
Okay.
All right. Well, then we're checked in.
We'll we're checked in too.
All right. And this question was contributed by Dan Lundberg, by the way. So we got nothing has checked in first, I think, right?
Yes.
Who checked in first? Okay. So my dad didn't get me drafted. Please talk it out, even though you're already ready to check in.
I mean, we're just it's. I mean, you can go D12, you can go Superman. I say we go with Superman and just call it. No, you know what? If it was from Dan Lundberg, I'm gonna say D12.
All right, and we got nothing. What did you guys have?
I had the same exact thought. It's either Superman or D12, and then once you said it came from Dan, I went, well, it has to be D12. So we also are checking in with D12.
Both teams will be receiving points. Dwight Howard is the correct person, the subject of this, but actually for the missing link, the clue is Superman. Question number 2 of our missing link. What is the nickname of the only player on the NBA 75th anniversary team who did not average at least 10 points per game.
Let's check that in.
My dad didn't get me drafted. Has checked in. We got nothing.
Would this be Rodman? Did he
Ooh.
average less than 10? At first I was thinking
It's-
assist guys, but when I started thinking
Yeah.
rebounds.
It's possible. The worm is like his primary
Yeah, that's right. That is his primary one.
nickname. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, why would someone be on that team? I was thinking it was like just a defensive wizard or something. But I'm thinking of guys on that team, and even the guys that were really good defensively also scored a lot.
Right.
Like a Nate Thurman came to mind.
That's where like I went
But-
point guard and then like rebounder,
Yeah.
power forward center. That's
I would think with Rodman, yeah, that would make sense. Like I mean, obviously he was never primary, secondary, or tertiary scorer on any of his teams, really.
no rebound and defense were his main calling
Yeah,
cards.
I mean, I'm good with that. Yeah, you want to check in with the worm?
yeah, I say we go with it.
Checking in with the worm.
All right. And my dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you guys have?
Yeah, simple enough. Pretty straightforward. We said the worm.
Both teams are receiving points. I may have also accepted Dennis the Menace here, which has come up recently. But for our missing link, our themed linked answers are officially Superman and the Worm. Question number 3. Since World War II, the career leader in this common fantasy baseball category is Jacob deGrom with 0.9947.
We can check in, David.
All right. My dad didn't get me drafted. Has checked in. We got nothing. Time to talk it out.
That looks like whip to me. Just the number, the way that, and I think I remember hearing something a couple of years ago about DeGrom having like an incredible whip,
Yeah.
and he hasn't played much the last couple of seasons, so it would make sense that it's still in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm good with
it.
that if you are.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. We're gonna check in with whip.
All right. And my dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you guys have?
Yeah, almost as nice as Indiana Jones, the whip.
Very nice. Yeah. So Jacob deGrom is the only pitcher post World War II with a career whip less than 1. But I'm waiting for him to come back because he's barely under 1. So I think he's going to ruin it if he comes back, because it just stands to reason he's going to get shellacked because he's not going to be the same kind of dominant guy that he was. So anyway.
So
All
that's
right.
the kind of stat that won him 2 Cy Youngs.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't wins, because the guy
Definitely
No.
not wins.
2 of
No.
the lowest number of win seasons to win Cy Youngs. I'm like, okay.
No, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, when I was at my height of playing fantasy baseball, it was like in the 90s, and Greg Maddux would be under 1 fairly frequently, but like his career whip is higher than Jacob deGrom, which is just, I mean, Maddux had unbelievable control. He just seemed like to never walked anybody. But anyway, all right, our themed linked answers thus far are Superman, the Worm, and Whip. Question number 4. Drafted 9th overall in the 2011 draft by the Bruins. He has since played for the Bruins, Flames, Hurricanes, and now the Devils. The benchwarmer world wants to know his name.
David, we'll check in.
My dad didn't get me drafted. Has checked in. Once again, we got nothing. Time to get something.
That might be
Yeah.
appropriate for this one.
Scared me for a second that he didn't check in right away.
I have no idea who this is. The benchwarmer
Same.
world wants to know his name.
Yeah, what is that in reference to? All right, Bruins, Flames. Obviously, that does nothing for me. Devils. I like the Flames.
Through all the teams. Oh, it's clearly.
I have
exactly.
I have no idea. I got nothing.
All right, Josh. I feel bad, so I'm gonna change the last line to be the benchwarmer world's gonna know your name. Does that change anything for you?
For me?
Yeah. Okay.
The benchwarmer
bench-
world's gonna know your name?
Yeah.
Does that mean anything to you, Josh?
Oh. His last name must be Hamilton.
Okay. The
Yeah.
the play.
Musical.
Yeah.
The musical. Yeah.
The musical. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ed
So
can be
Hamilton.
upset that we're just going to maybe get this because we're going to check in with Hamilton, even though I have no idea who this guy is. Not a clue. I don't know any hockey players named Hamilton. So, Hamilton.
All right. And help us out. My dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you guys get?
So this was the year the Colorado Avalanche drafted not the ugliest man in the world. Chase Buttigier,
Quite the opposite.
Yes, Gabriel Landeskog, second overall, and they had a second pick that year. And the guy the Bruins drafted, who I wanted to fall to the Avalanche, and instead the Avalanche settled for Duncan Siemens. Yeah, anybody know that name? No one knows him. So that was awesome. But yeah, it's Dougie Hamilton.
It is, in fact, Dougie Hamilton. Well done. Good job. All right. So our themed linked answers thus far are Superman, the Worm, Whip, and Dougie Hamilton. Question number 5. This Hall of Famer holds the modern record for winning the greatest percentage of his team's games in a season when he won 27 games in 1972 for a Phillies team that won only 59 games all year.
Yeah, we can check it in, David.
Oh,
All right. My dad didn't get me drafted, has checked in, so we got nothing. Give you guys a chance to talk this one out.
I think I got something, Scott. I think it's Steve Carlton.
Would make sense. Phillies time frame. Yep.
Yeah. And when they were bad, he was still good.
Yeah.
So all right, we're gonna check in with Steve Carlton. The
All
Twins
right.
legend, Steve Carlton.
Nice. Twins legend. Nice. Perfect. All right. And my dad get me drafted. Your answer just to this question, please.
Yeah, Steve Carlton, little nutty towards the end of his career.
He was a little nutty. Yeah. So it is Steve Carlton. He won nearly something like 46% of the Phillies games that year. So think about that in today's terms, what that would take, because it would never anybody get close to that. So anyway, our themed linked answers for the whole list are Superman, the Worm, Whip, Dougie Hamilton, and Steve Carlton. Both teams checked in with answers right after the second question, but just a minute ahead, our guest, my dad didn't get me drafted, checked in first. So do you want to share? Would you like to share the answer with us?
Well, I want to thank Eric for spurring me on to actually check in that early, but I thought we were thinking Superman and the Worm. We thought dance moves, and I didn't know we were going to be more specific to a particular song, but yeah, we just went with I don't know, how more specific you want to say with dance moves, more showy middle of the circle kind of dance moves, or TV ready dance moves, but dance moves is what we want.
Yeah, from Scott, I got dance moves / dance trends / dance crazes. I would have taken any of those. They all work. Yeah, that's right. Superman, the Worm, Whip, the Dougie, and of course the Carlton. Well done. So after the third quarter, with that missing link, we have a lead change. And our scores are now, my dad didn't get me drafted, have 450 points. And we got nothing is just behind at 425 points. That will bring us to the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 4 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
So following along with the dance themes, and I will admit that one of these I had never seen, so I had to YouTube it. Question 1 is the hustle. Question 2, follow the leader. Question 3, running man. And question 4, loser. So question 1, the hustle will be about Major League Baseball. Question 2, follow the leader, will be about the NBA. Question 3, running man will be at the NFL. And question 4, loser, will be, let's just call it Big Four sports. It's now time for the teams to place their wagers.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
Now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question 1, in the hustle. What active major leaguer is the only player in Major League Baseball history to have a season 30-plus home runs, 45-plus stolen bases, and 10-plus triples?
All right, we'll check in.
All right, we got nothing has checked in. My dad didn't get me drafted. You have about 20 seconds.
My feeling is if they might have ended up on Acuna and are hoping that maybe the triples came through last year, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think they did, but that doesn't mean anything. That's
okay.
45 stolen bases and 30 home runs is, I don't know. I guess my gut would be Altuve.
Then I'd go
I
with
don't know.
that. Yeah.
That's all I got on this. I don't know if he's ever hit 30. I don't know. Did it say same season? Did it?
Yeah. Had to be the same season. That's the whole
In
point.
their career.
10. So 10,
That's
10 triples too. So 10 triples and right. 10 triples,
yeah.
45 stolen bases, and 30 home runs in a season. Only person in MLB history to do it.
Where's Trout on this? Has he done anything like that?
Don't know.
30, 45. Let's go Trout then, because I think that'll be a better option for him.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right.
We're gonna check in with Mike Trout for 100 points.
All right. And we got nothing. Did you have something?
No,
Oh.
Josh, this is all you.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, the first name that we both said Acuna. And after last year with what he had, like 73 steals or something like that, and he
70.
hits a bunch of bombs. Like that's like the almost too easy to get to answer, even for a fourth quarter. I know we make our games a little easier these days. And then Scott said that he thought David had an Acuna fourth quarter answer not that long ago.
You did.
So we and I just wanted to think of other names. We came up with Altuve and Trout as options as well, but we settled on and hoping he hit 30 and got to 45 steals. We're gonna check in with Bobby Witt Jr. for 100 points.
One team will be receiving points. So this actually came up in the context of Willie Mays' recent passing, because Willie Mays had some unbelievable years. One year he had 35 home runs and 20 triples, but he only stole 38 bases. The only person who has had 30 home runs, 10 triples, and 45 stolen bases in a year is Bobby Witt Jr.
Ooh.
And he just did it last year.
Had to be last season. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's only like 23 or something. So yeah, well done. All right. Well, there's plenty of time here. We won't call out our scores, but next question is Running Man, and is definitely a David question. So I'm watching very closely for the video of Josh's eye roll. So here we go. Jim Brown is the franchise career rushing leaders for the Browns, making him one of two players who is a franchise leader in rushing yards whose last name starts with the same letter as the team name for whom he is the franchise leader. Name the other.
Sure, it's not a 49ers running back whose name starts with a 4.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that too. Well, I mean,
I guess you could start with a F, maybe, if you wanted.
Well, this will be good for Josh and David. I was thinking they don't have like a guy that's like Tyrone Foreskin. Spelled, it's 4, the number 4 skin. No.
The foreskin is like some kind of a merger of it's like the Steagles. We had the 49ers and Redskins playing together as the Foreskins.
We'll check in.
So we got nothing has checked in. My dad didn't get me drafted. Has about 10 seconds to come up with an answer.
All right. So we were going through teams, putting the teams. I'm sorry, Josh.
So no, I'm an idiot. It's recency bias. Yeah.
It was amazing. I'm putting like the teams in the who I think the leading rusher is. And then he hits me with Titans Henry and then Cowboys Elliott. I'm like, I don't know if you.
I meant the kid from ET. He was really fast. Okay?
I mean, Eric, do you ever refer to them as the Sow Boys?
No, he just put Elliott as in
I
like
know.
the leading.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I grew up in Philadelphia during the 90s.
work.
We just blanked out.
All right. Enough stalling
Anyway.
and picking on our
Yeah,
guests.
yeah,
Let's get an answer.
No. I think we landed on the answer a while ago. I just wanted to
Dear
make
God.
sure. But we went with Jamal Charles and the Chiefs. 100 points. Sorry.
And we got nothing. What you guys have?
Yeah, I got to this one almost right away, but then just wanted to check my work and go through all the teams. The only one that gave me a little bit of pause was Jaguars and Jones Drew. But then we kind of sussed out, we thinking Fred Taylor's the franchise leader there. So we also checked in with Jamal Charles and the Chiefs for 100 points.
And it has to be the current team names, because obviously Riggins is the Commanders'
All-time Commander
all-time-
/ Redskins
Right,
team name.
right. So-
Exactly right. And that was part of my flavor text and why I said it has to be current team names.
Got it.
Yes. So Jamal Charles for the Chiefs. Well sussed out. Well done. I don't even have any additional flavor text beyond what Josh just added. So our gap hasn't really changed. So I'll just move quickly on to question number 3. Follow the leader. This past season, who became the youngest player in NBA history to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists in the same season?
David, we're gonna check in.
My dad didn't get me drafted has checked in. We got nothing. You have about 20 seconds.
I don't think
Okay.
we need much.
No, I think Wemby is the Acuna sort of trap answer here.
And like I said, I just don't think he had the assists.
Yeah, I think it's Paolo Banchero. They don't have a true point guard. They don't really have a big rebounder on their team, so it would make sense. So I'm good. If you're good with that,
Yeah, I'm good with Paulo.
All right, we're gonna check in with Paolo Banchero for 100.
Okay. And my dad didn't get me drafted. What'd you guys have?
As a, I guess, Magic fan, I don't even know what
Are you back? Are you back?
I don't know. I don't even know. It's like that thing. It's like, oh, you broke up with this girl, and then all of a sudden she went to the gym, and then she's like, oh, she's okay now.
Oh, is she from Niagara Falls?
Yeah, and then you're like, all right, well, maybe I'll. And then you find out she still smokes, and they're like, all right, that's not going to be any good anymore, and then we just move back on again. So right now I'm at the point where I'm finding out that she still smokes. She told me she doesn't, so we'll find out later, and then we'll break up again. So yeah, it's Banchero.
Both teams are receiving points. Well done. Well sussed out. Yeah, I can't even remember. He's what, like 22, 23. It's not that common for somebody to lead their team in all the, the big categories. But yeah, I mean, he's the youngest guy to do it. So there you go. All right.
When your team's hot garbage, it's very easy to do it. When you have no
when you're their only
Fair enough.
one real good player.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4. The category is loser. Even though they have won 2 championships, what Big Four team has the worst overall winning percentage across all Big Four sports?
All right, we'll check in.
All right. For the last time tonight, my dad didn't get me drafted. Has checked in. We got nothing. About 45 seconds.
Well, we're stuck between 2 crap Florida franchises.
I think we came up with the 4 who probably hold, right? So we know the T-Wolves NBA, they haven't won any.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Coyotes / Utah hockey team is the NHL, and they haven't won any. So that would leave us with the
Bucks
Marlins and the Bucks. Both have won 2 championships.
Both have 2. Both they're awful. Usually.
Both have lost more than they've won in many, many, many seasons.
You're leaning Bucks.
I'm leaning Bucks.
Marlins.
My problem with baseball is you have so many games that you can still be terrible, but still get close enough to fight. Like, you just can roll enough victories if you have enough 1 or 2 or 3 win seasons in the NFL, that really hurts because you just don't have as many games to help bring that up. I'm guessing they're not far from each other.
Yeah, the Bucks have been.
The Bucks were so terrible.
Probably for 30 years?
20 at least, right? Like they were.
Yeah, but that's the thing is Marlins have been terrible for 31, right? They have only have 4 winning seasons in 31. Well, 4 playoff appearances, and all of them are wild cards. They've never won the division.
But how many other times did they maybe get close to 500?
A few,
or,
but
not too far. Like, I just think
tough.
Those early Bucks teams were so terrible that even though they've been respectable in the last 20 years, that their first piece of history was so garbage.
You know what?
So garbage.
I feel like you've been rolling with me for a lot of this game, so I'll roll with you on this one.
That's where my gut is telling me Bucks.
I'm sure we have the bottom 2.
You're probably I don't know. The bottom 2 that fit all the criteria. I'm not sure where the Coyotes and Timberwolves would fit.
These Florida teams are just bad, right? Like the Jags, Magic. Sorry, Eric. Well, maybe not. Sorry, I don't know where you stand right at this second with them. But
all right.
We're talking. We're hanging out.
We're talking. These Florida franchises are just god awful. All right, let's do it.
All right, so we're gonna check in with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 100 points.
All right, and my dad didn't get me drafted. What did you guys have?
I don't think you had the bottom 2 though.
The bottom 2 that fit all the criteria. Like I said, I didn't know
if championships.
I didn't know if either of the others would fit.
Yeah, that's what we meant.
Yeah,
the 2 championships. Because and just so you know, Josh, the worst NHL team ever is not it's not the Coyotes franchise.
They don't have the worst overall win record?
They do not. They do not. It's the Winnipeg Jets. Thrashers are the worst team in NHL, and it's like Columbus after that. And shockingly, Florida and Tampa Bay are on that list too. So, Tampa Bay would probably. I think Tampa Bay has a lower winning percentage overall than the Marlins do, but they have 3 championships, so that would have taken them out of that too.
Oh,
But anyway,
another Florida team. Interesting.
yeah, right. But we just, if I read the question the first time, the 2 championships would have easily just put us to the Buccaneers right away. So yeah, we checked in with the Buccaneers for 100 points.
Both teams will be receiving points. Yeah, that's well done. Josh was spot on. The math just makes it a lot harder because a team can finish 2-14 in the NFL, and the equivalent of that in Major League Baseball, you'd lose like 140 games. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. So like the Bucks, I think they almost went 2 full seasons not winning a game when they first started. They won
one game
lousy.
in their first 2 seasons.
Yeah, it was incredible. So yes, so well done to both teams. So our game has come to an end, and here are the final scores. My dad didn't get me drafted, finished with a very respectable 650 points, but our clipboard captains of the game, who are receiving the coveted Matt Hasselbeck Award with 825 points, we got nothing. Except they got the Matt Hasselbeck Award, which I was saving for Josh. So anyway, Josh, let's go to you first as our guest and as our assistant coach for our Patreon team. What would you like to say?
Oh man, well, I guess I'm gonna get the L Train T-shirt. Or as I looked on the website, you can get tapestries with your logos, all these different kinds of things. So maybe something kind of interesting. But as always, fun being on the show. You guys have inspired me. I'm going to try and start a Jewish trivia podcast. I was talking to David Lux about that. So, if that happens, get off the ground. You can say you were there when. Thanks to Eric for almost pulling me out of the fire there. Sorry, didn't know Bobby Witt Jr.
I should have known. That's my fault.
Yeah, this game was actually back and forth until the Bobby Witt Jr. and that was the last time we saw a lead change. Yeah. Any of our bench warmers want to say anything?
We did it again, Josh.
Yeah.
I mean,
beat him again.
Our first one was more impressive when there were still more difficult questions out there.
Yeah.
But yes. So sorry, Josh. I thought you were definitely going to get yourself a win, but
Josh, next time you come on, I'll make sure I don't sign up. Clearly, you can't beat me, so I will just make sure.
That is the problem. I'm sure
that is my kryptonite. Yeah.
I even figured I'd hook you up with the Hanukkah song questions. Anyway, go ahead.
One
Eric.
thing is I'll just give everybody a tick update.
Great.
I don't need that. I don't know if it happened or not. But I found 2 of them last week, and I almost literally burned the house to the ground. So I looked it up. How do you deal with ticks? And I bought the spray stuff for the yard, and then I put stuff on my dogs. I don't know if it's safe for them or not, but it's on them now, so we'll find out. But yeah, I found it, like everyone tells me, is like, oh, get this stuff. It's super expensive. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be that involved in to get rid of ticks. Like that's a lot of money. So I bought cheaper stuff. So we'll find out. Yeah. So I don't know if the stuff I sprayed on the yard is safe for the dogs and or kids. It could be just asbestos. I don't even know what I sprayed. It said it was safe, but you find out 10 years later that it causes something. So the next step is I have a fairly large backyard. It's probably about 35 yards deep by about 30 yards wide. I'm just gonna get it all. It'll probably cost $1 million, but just all concrete. That's all. Your ticks don't live on concrete.
Hey,
right?
that size, you can get one of those sport courts put out there.
That's true.
Yeah,
Walling's got a driveway guy, by the way. You can always work that.
I've heard. I don't know if
his
I want
driveway
that same.
guy's expensive.
That's
for what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Nobody ever complains about ticks on their driveways. That's all I got to say.
That's the episode title right there.
You could be right. All right. Well, let me get us out of here. So first of all, Josh, let me thank you for coming on again. Next time we will try to get you a win, but thank you for your support for the podcast, and thank you for always entertaining us with your posts on our Facebook chat, because your questions are great. I love them, and I'm just going to assume all the other benchwarmers do too. So thank you to Josh
for lying to me. I appreciate it.
No, they're absolutely tremendous. I think they're great. So creative. So thank you to you and all of our patron supporters. And on behalf of Eric Eade, Scott Grimes, Josh Bomback, and all of the benchwarmers, thanks for listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. And until next time, we'll keep the bench warm.
Ball hit high and deep. Stretch! Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Into deep left center for Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at BenchwarmersTP.